What's good, y'all? My prediction for the fight. I've thought about it. I got Canelo for the win and by TKO. Let me explain why. Coming up. Hey, what's good, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Galaxy Sports Supreme podcast, GSS. I'm your host, AP, and today is my prediction podcast. Now, I thought about this quite a bit. Now, when Canelo fought William Skull and I saw the results of that fight, I said, you know what? Bud is going to chip Canelo. He's going to chip him. That was my initial assessment. But I had to take a step back and reevaluate and look at the matchup. Had to look at the matchup. You know, a lot of my friends, they say Bud going to win. But be honest with you, they can't tell me how he going to win. So I had to reevaluate, and after I reevaluated and looked at the matchup, I got Canelo for the win. Not only that, but I got him winning by TKO. Now here are some of my reasons why I say this. Canelo's been at 168 for 6 years. 6 years. It's a long time in one weight class. Bud has been at 168, not even one day, not even one fight. And the weight that Bud has added, to me, won't do anything but slow everything down, from his reaction time to his foot speed. You can't put on 14 extra pounds and expect to be just as fast as you were at 47 or 154. It don't work like that. The weight, the extra weight Bud is carrying, I think it's going to be detrimental, Not to mention, Canelo does have the best chin in boxing. Bud's chin was last tested at 147 by the Mean Machine that clipped him with a right hand, and Bud's knee hit the canvas, but the ref didn't see it. But Bud does get hit. I believe Bud will not be able to hurt Canelo, but I truly believe Canelo will be able to hurt Bud. That's going to be the biggest deciding factor in this fight, in my opinion. Canelo has fought much bigger fighters, much bigger opponents. And he's put all of them on the canvas except Bivol. Canelo has power, no doubt. He may be a step slower than he was 10 years ago, but name me one fighter that's close to 40 that's not one step slower. Even Bud is one step slower. But his power remains. As you get older, what Father Time takes from you are your reflexes and your speed. But what lasts for an extended amount of time is power. Like the late, great George Foreman. He kept his power all the way through, And looking at that Madrimov fight, Bud gets hit quite easily. Bud does get hit quite easily. He's not Floyd when it comes to defense. He's not. Madrimov actually landed 65 power shots on Bud. So I have to ask the question, can Bud take that many power shots from Canelo? Nah. I'm not sure he can, to be totally honest with you. The way Canelo fights walking downhill. He walks his opponents down. So I believe Canelo will have Bud backing up for a large majority of the fight. We've never seen Bud fight off the back foot, have we? We've never seen Bud fight off the back foot. To me, Bud is at his best when he's fighting off the front foot and counterpunching off the front foot. That's what he did so beautifully against Errol Spence. Not so much against Madrimov. His style was different. Bud could not counterpunch as much as he wanted to. But Canelo will walk Bud down. I see that happening. He walks everybody down except Bivol. And, looking at this also, let's be honest, guys, getting a decision over Canelo is mad hard. It's hella hard. We all remember the Bivol fight. I think we can all agree Bivol dominated 95% of that fight and still almost lost the decision. So you have to ask yourself, right, what does Bud have to do to get a decision? Bivol is bigger than Bud, longer reach to Bud, more active than Bud. Canelo couldn't deal with Bivol. But Bud does not fight like Bivol. Not even remotely close. Bud is not a highly active fighter. He's more of a counterpuncher, a sharp puncher. Definitely a counterpuncher, but he's not that active as Bivol. In my opinion, the only shot Bud has to get this decision, not only does he have to swim and don't get wet, but he's going to have to put Canelo on the canvas. At least get a knockdown or two. This is how hard it is to get a decision over Canelo. You need something in your favor. You need a knockdown, a couple of them, to get this decision. Or the unthinkable, knock him out. Now, that's possible, but not probable in my eyes. And, last but not least, keep in mind, Turkey is invested in Canelo. I think he has, a 3-fight deal? So what does that tell you? Who is Turkey rooting for in this fight? Who do you think? You're invested in a fighter. Aren't you going to be rooting for the fighter you're invested in? Absolutely. We already know who the judges are. And I can tell you right now, Canelo is already up 5-0 on somebody's scorecard already. This is why I say Bud needs a knockdown or two or a knockout to get this win. It's going to be hella hard to get them belts up off of Canelo. Period. You can box beautifully, but if you don't get a knockdown, the odds of you getting that decision, in my opinion, less than 5%. Again, just my opinion. We're all not going to agree, but that's okay. That's what makes boxing talk interesting, So we know who Turkey's rooting interest in. And at the end of the day, I just see Bud relenting to Canelo's power shots to the body, to the head. I don't think Bud's chin has been tested. This is going to be the first time he's going to get hit with someone with this amount of power. I just think eventually Bud is going to fold. I think he's going to fold. And I believe Canelo wins by a late stoppage, maybe 7th or 8th round. Never know. It could be sooner because he's going to come out and go after Bud from the first bell. I can guarantee you that. So we may find out a lot in the first round. Can Bud take a punch? Can Bud hurt Canelo? We're going to see. But my final prediction is Canelo by late stoppage. I'll circle back after the fight. Regardless of who wins, if Bud wins, I'll talk about Bud. If Canelo wins, I'll talk about Canelo. But either way, I'll do one more wrap-up fight after the fight. So let's get it in. Later.